Today, it is my pleasure to welcome two guest speakers that I'm really excited for all of you to hear. Tricia Tampkin and Jason Tebow from More Essentials. I had the pleasure of meeting these two very fun and wickedly smart people a few months ago at the NPA Worldwide Conference, and they were talking about doing some sourcing wizardry that I had never seen before. I was so impressed with what I saw. I said, guys, please, please, please come be part of our upcoming Lunch with Haley, because I know that almost everybody, if not everybody who is listening in today, is struggling to find talent. And these guys know more about how to dig into Google and today, as you're going to see, dig into Facebook than just about anybody on the planet. And so, guys, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you're going to help us learn about some of the really cool things we can do to find talent on Facebook. So welcome.
Thank you so much, David. I hope you can hear me okay.
Sounds great.
Okay, good. All right, so thank you for the lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. We are going to have some fun today. So let's start off with just a fundamental concept about Facebook.
All right, so you know how there was just that dramatic pause in between when we said, hope you can hear us okay, and we waited. Well, that kind of awkwardness is only made huge when you get onto Facebook and you try to use Facebook to get people to like your page and love us for all of the things that we don't even know that we're going to put on our page yet. Just like it, please like me, be my friend. Like, it becomes this awkward thing. And when a company does that, like, you might, eventually begrudgingly accept the friend request from a company, but you're not gonna, that doesn't make you more interested in buying from them. Like, oh, look, they have a Facebook page. Congratulations.
When you are out there and you're asking people to like your page to try and get a bigger audience, it's kind of like being that dorky kid in gym class that's like, pick me, pick me. And we don't want you to do that. So don't ever be that person. The person that we want you to be is the person that isn't spending time getting likes, but getting results.
I guess if we go with the gym class example, that's the person who you know is going to help your team win, as opposed to the person like jumping up and down and back for attention. I was probably off to the side hoping to, not get picked last.
I think I was the one that was picked right away. All right, so David gave us a lovely introduction. I'm Tricia Tampkin, that's me on the right.
And then I'm just who's left.
Now, you guys know that within the GoToWebinar platform, you can ask questions. And Jason and I are not the kind of trainers that want you to hold your questions. Don't hold your questions. We already have a couple of people that have come through asking about slides. And I know that David's doing a great job letting you guys know where to get the slides. If you don't have them yet, rest assured they will be made available to you. And that means you do not have to take absurd, copious notes about everything that we're saying. Whatever you're seeing on your screen right now, other than when we jump out live, you're going to have.
All right. I want to move on, though, and talk about the at least 4 ways. These are the 4 main ways to identify candidates on Facebook.
All right, so the first way is content marketing. And I think you guys all know probably what content marketing is. You put out good content, people read your content, and it drives them to do business with you. This is a very effective approach. It's certainly time consuming, and I don't know about you guys, but as recruiters, I don't know that developing content is my forte. Developing candidates and clients, certainly my forte, but not developing content.
There's a joke I tell about this a lot of times, and it actually has to do with Oprah, who I imagine many of you remember Oprah. And after many years of being successful and people tuning in to her content that she put on air, she started saying things like, here are a few of my favorite things, or here's a book I really liked. And that book or those favorite things would quickly sell out and become bestsellers, and they'd be amazing. Like, she was great at developing content and then ultimately kind of used it to advertise. But if you're not Oprah, this can be kind of difficult.
It can. So my recommendation, and Jason's, is that if you're going to do some level of content marketing, we would highly recommend that you outsource that to Haley Marketing. Now, as I understand, they have a program called Digital Dominance that has a promotion but that promotion ends in like 5 days. So if you're thinking about it, now would be the time for you to act.
It's really far easier than getting onto Oprah's list anyway.
We did have a question come through from Lalu. Can you drill down into what types of content are truly effective, like blogs on websites or posts on Facebook? I would say that David is brilliant when it comes to that, and so is his whole team. So Lalu, go to David after this session and ask him that question.
All right. Our next way, and one of the things that we'll be talking about today, is organic relationships. Facebook really is the largest social network site, ever to exist. Like, there's more people on Facebook than there have been people on Earth at points in really relatively recent history.
That's kind of a scary thought.
Right. So if you can build a relationship with somebody, they're much more likely to work with you. And I'll give a quick, easy example of this. Let's imagine that you're out to go buy a new car. It's a major investment. It's important, kind of like finding somebody to work for you, right? It's a big deal. And if you have two different places that are going to sell you the car, one where your best friend works, or maybe it's even just an acquaintance, and the other where no one works, and they're basically the same distance apart, same car, same price, same everything else. If you had to choose which one you're going to go work with, I'm imagining that you're going where your friend is, right? That you feel enough camaraderie, enough almost necessity to kind of work within your tribe. And that's why organic relationships can be so powerful.
When we talk, and we're going to go into great detail on how to spend about 15 or 20 minutes a day building organic relationships on Facebook through Facebook groups. It's something that I believe that was our first placement on Facebook, wasn't it?
It was through an
organic one.
An organic one through a group, through busybodies, which we'll talk about some of those busybodies.
We certainly will. All right, so the next way that you can really get to candidates on Facebook is through paid advertising. That means, like, if you were to go right now and you were to open Facebook on your phone and go to your news feed, the second item in your news feed is sponsored content.
Almost always.
Yeah, almost always it's going to be sponsored content, especially on a mobile device. That's paid advertising. Anytime that you see someone trying to sell something to you on Facebook and it's in the middle of your news feed, that's paid advertising. Now, we have absolutely done this as well, though it was hard to learn. And it's expensive, but we've made placements from it, which is more than I can say for some of the larger job boards out there.
Yeah, we have job boards that we've never made a placement off of. But I want to throw a couple more things out there about paid advertising. One thing that you should know is when you go through your own Facebook feed, you probably aren't commonly seeing a lot of jobs, right? It's not a huge market yet, and it will grow, and Facebook is trying to become more job focused, but it's not what you see a lot of, which means it's different and new. But it also means that if I'm going to Facebook, what I'm not doing is necessarily spending my time on Monster or Career Builder or what. I'm not looking for a job. I'm not expecting a job. So it kind of sneaks up on you. And that can be a powerful way to get through to somebody.
Well, especially to a passive candidate.
Somebody that's not even necessarily looking for a job. What they're looking to do is post pictures of last night's dinner.
Right. Now, the fourth and final way to find candidates on Facebook is direct sourcing. Facebook in 2013 launched what's called Graph Search. And when they launched it, it was kind of awesome. Jason and I got to be beta testers for 6 months before the launch, and we got pretty intimate with their data structure, which was so much fun. But what ended up happening was when they launched Graph Search, it was super creepy. Like, you had all these different drop downs that you could narrow down your results based on age, gender, political or religious affiliation, geography, and what they liked, which meant if I wanted to, I could say, show me all of the single women between 25 and 34 in the Chicago metropolitan area that are Republican and like salsa dancing. Like, that's creepy, right?
Well, I think that's mildly creepy. So is the idea of getting intimate with the data structure. But another way to look at this as being a little bit too much, and one of the reasons why Facebook dialed it back was you could very easily do things like type in a search that showed you pictures of your spouse's single female friends. And that becomes, why do you need this kind of power? And there's a little bit too much power that it originally came with. But it also meant that we kept all the knowledge of how it worked once they took the interface away.
And they took the interface away pretty darn quickly. Not, I think, because recruiters or salespeople were abusing it. I think that they took it away because, there's some creepy people. And that functionality disappeared unless you understood the data structure and how to get to it, which we certainly do. Now, we're going to give you just a tiny sample of what direct sourcing is, but it is a little bit more technical, and we would not be able to teach it to you guys in 10 minutes when we get to that section of today's webinar. So we'll give you a little sample of it, but I think what we should do is jump right into organic relationships.
All right. Well, when you talk about organic relationships, the thing to remember is there's basically a Facebook group for everything.
Now, I would like you guys to come in just briefly into the question and answer section of GoToMeeting.
So we can overwhelm David.
We're going to overwhelm David here for a moment. My apologies. Can you come into the question and answer section and tell me whether or not you participate in Facebook groups? If you do, tell us what kind of groups that you're in or how many groups you're in. But I would love to get a sense from you guys how many of you are already leveraging Facebook groups.
Now, while you guys are typing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the groups that I'm in because I want to help to spawn the thoughts that you might be having. I am in a group that is just the year that I graduated from high school. I am not in any garage sale groups. Tricia certainly is, though. I'm in groups for different business things that I'm a part of, everything from marketing to things that I might do with recruiting. But I'm also in groups for things like writers. I'm in groups for people who play role-playing games. I am in a fair amount of nerd groups, too.
Well, as I'm looking through your feedback, it's a real mix. It looks like those of you that are in groups are in a ton of them, but they range from marketing to building automation, local buying and selling groups. Nicole, that's totally me. Some of you are in job groups, and we're going to talk about that. But many of you have come on and said you're not in any groups. This isn't something that you are leveraging. So Susan asked a very good question, and I want to address this right away. Your company page can't join a group, right? Right. You can only join a group as an individual person.
Now, I think the Supreme Court decided that corporations are people too, but I don't think Facebook made that same decision.
No, they didn't, which means, and it brings up a very interesting question, how comfortable are you using your personal Facebook account for business purposes? And from our students, we get a mixed bag of feedback on that. I know that I fall into that camp of, oh my gosh, let me lock down all of my privacy. I don't want anybody seeing pictures of my kids, right? That just feels a little off to me. But at the same time, I do absolutely use my personal Facebook account for work. So you have to, have an account in order to do anything that we're showing you today, and it has to be your personal account. Now, some of you, like Ryan, has a personal account and a work account.
We won't call out Ryan, though, because that would be in violation of your terms and conditions.
We're not going to tell Facebook on you, Ryan, but for those of you that have two accounts, one for work and one for personal, I am going to tell you guys, do so with extreme caution. You are absolutely violating Facebook's terms and conditions, and they are cracking down on this, and if they catch you, you'll lose them both.
Yeah, I blame the Russians really causing the crackdown.
That's terrible, Jason. All right, so let's talk about how to leverage these groups. There's a group for everything out there, right? But there's 3 different types of groups. You have public groups, closed groups, and secret groups. Now, you're in a secret group.
Well, now that you've told everybody, I am in a secret group, yes.
I am too. Now, you won't even be able to search and find a secret group. That's part of what makes it a secret group. But if we look at public versus closed, both of them you have to request to join, but in a closed group, the only people that see the information that you're putting out there are people in that group. In a public group, everybody can see it. It'll show up in your friends and your family's news feeds if it's a public group once you have posted something in it. But nobody will see anything in a closed group. So pay close attention to whether or not the group is public or closed.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about these kinds of groups and what we can do with them. So you need to search for a group on the topic that you're looking for. Inside of Graph Search, inside of Facebook, in that little search bar at the top, you just type in whatever you're looking for. And it looks like in the example on the screen, Tricia searched for dentist.
I did.
All right, and so you'll see, different groups. And you can modify and, change. It's only limited by how creative you are. And any one of these groups, because it's about relationships, it can be a garage sale group or it can be a job group. Like it doesn't, like just because I'm trying to build a relationship by finding a group doesn't mean that the group has to apply directly to the type of job I'm filling. Maybe I'm filling pickers and packers at a warehouse and I join a mom's group. Well, you know what? There's some moms out there that think their kids need a job.
Yeah, there certainly
right?
are.
It doesn't take, it doesn't take a work of genius to figure that out. Get him out of my basement, please.
So what you're going to do once you run the search, if we look on the screen here, looking for dentist, this was just a basic search for dentist, and then we clicked over to groups. We can see Nifty Thrifty Dentist, 13,000 people, Mommy Dentist, 3.3 thousand, dentists on Facebook, 1.9. When I'm going through this process and trying to decide which group to join, I do it based on the number of people, the number of members that are in the group. If I am looking to find, say, an engineer, I'm not going to join an engineering group that has 100 people in it because it just isn't enough reach. So we make our decisions based on the number of people that are actually in the group. So let's break down a couple of different types of groups that you can go after and how to do it.
All right, job groups, which was already mentioned. Somebody said they were in job groups. Probably a few of you did, but I couldn't read that fast as the comments were coming through.
They were coming through fast.
All right, so all you have to do for a job group, if you're not already in one, is search for your location and use the word jobs. Dallas jobs is the example here, but I could absolutely have changed this to Fort Worth jobs and gotten some overlap, but not necessarily all overlap.
Well, and that's a very important distinction, Jason. It's not, if I put in Dallas, unless it's a Dallas-Fort Worth group, I'm not going to get Fort Worth. Unless the name of the group is Dallas-Fort Worth-Plano, I'm not going to get Plano. So make sure that when you're running your searches for which groups to join that are job-specific, that you don't just focus on the major metropolitan city. We want you to focus also on the suburbs around. Facebook doesn't know that when you say Dallas, you also mean Fort Worth. They don't know that. So you're going to have to play with a couple of different variations. Now, the beauty of this type of job group is you can go right in, join the group, and immediately post a job for free.
That's kind of what people expect to happen there. There are some challenges, though. I'm a member of some job groups in the Chicago area where we're based out of. I have not had success specifically with them, mostly because I get too much nonsense from them. There's a lot of people that post what I would consider a pyramid scheme or work from home, no strings attached. Yeah, I'm a little suspicious already. So there are some challenges out there with this, but that's where it comes down to good ad copy too. If you're going to post out there and talk about a job, you have to see what everybody else is doing. Read through some of them. I say if you find ones that are like, oh, I really like how that one's written, I might have actually clicked through that one if I was looking for a job. That's what you need to emulate.
Right. So all you're going to do for this first type of search, and we're going to jump out live in a little bit and look at this, but first thing that you're going to do is just the actual geography and the word jobs. The next kind of group that you can do is jobs related to a specific industry.
Right, up here we have manufacturing jobs. All we did is choose the manufacturing industry, and some of these are much larger than others. And one that manufacturing jobs has 136 members. I wouldn't waste my time there trying to find somebody to fill a position for me. Now, if I see engineering in the UK, well, if I was in the UK having a 1,000-member group that's more local, that might be a little bit better for me. But depending on how you write this, like you could do this for virtually any kind of jobs. You could do this for nurse jobs, engineering jobs, truck drivers, etc.
Right. CNC machinists, all of them. So you want to just play with the different variations before you start joining to see if you can find the ones that have a lot of members. That's what we wanted, a lot of members.
Now, one thing that we, it seems odd to refer to a skill group as different than a job group. But one thing you'll notice about these is none of them are talking about jobs. This isn't Six Sigma jobs. These are Six Sigma practitioners. These are people who are quality related, lean manufacturing, doing Six Sigma work, hopefully as black belts, and it gives me, a whole bunch of them all at once. In this kind of group, though, I can't immediately go to posting a job.
No, we're going to talk about some etiquette in groups in just a couple of minutes, but you have to adhere to that common courtesy etiquette specifically in skill-only groups. So if I'm always looking to hire clerical or administrative assistants, I'm going to just type in, administrative assistants, click over to groups, and see what's there, right?
Now, one of the things I have that I follow to great success, I was helping somebody fill some nurse positions. And those nurse positions, I did a search for nurse groups. Not nursing jobs or anything like that. There's plenty of those. But I found just general nurse groups. And one, if you ever look at my profile, you can look through and see some of the ones I follow. Travel nurses in Canada and funny nurses. Funny nurses is basically nursing-related memes and jokes that they post. And I have a whole lot of followers, almost all of whom are nurses, right? And so what I've done is I've made sure, like at this point, I've probably been a member of that group for 3 or 4 years. And it means that my occasional interactions and all that mean that I'm kind of an established member of the group.
Yes. Now, Pat came in with a very relevant comment and said, many of these groups say no job postings. Yes, they do, and you have to adhere to that.
But you could also sometimes, if you're in there for a while, get a little override from the admin. Say, hey, you know that I'm not just in here posting jobs all the time, and this just seems so relevant, and I was hoping I can get your permission to post this anyway. You can sometimes get that yes.
Yeah, I've gotten that yes a couple of times in skills-only groups. When you will never get the yes is if you don't ask, right? But you can't just join and ask. You've got to establish a little bit of social credibility first.
Now, I do want to point out something before we flip to the next kind of group, because right here, when you look at the descriptions for these, they're about sharing your learning and experiences, seeking help for Six Sigma practitioners. What is Six Sigma? Like, it's a nice little description. And then we move into garage sale and neighborhood groups.
Now, this is something that I really want to talk to you guys about because I have made placements, and we're going to show you what an ad looks like in a moment for a neighborhood group. So I had started out years ago joining all of these garage sale groups because, you know what, I'm just kind of cheesy that way, and I think it's so fun to be able to buy other people's crap online. I mean, that's who I am. I love it. And Jason and I were working on a position, and we were having one heck of a time filling it because it was a personality hire. It was a software salesperson, and they weren't going to make a ton of money to start, but they were probably going to make $100,000 or more within a year. But we needed somebody that had the right attitude, that was in the right location. And, we struggled with it. Jason said to me, why don't you post it in some of your local garage sale groups? I'm like, oh, God, no, I am not going to do that. That seems awful.
And cheesy. But I'm a little cheesy sometimes.
So he convinced me to do it. And I did it, and I made a placement from the response.
Yes, she sold a candidate or bought a candidate through a garage sale. I'm not sure how you consider that. It does seem a little suspicious. I did want to point out here, you notice that some of these start having things like revise, please read, and you can't see the rest of it. Garage sale groups are some of the most catty places that you can go to online, where people, complain and post, and they're like, this is what I refer to as a busybody. The busybodies that are, oh, they didn't follow the garage sale rules. Like, oh, better follow the garage sale rules so I don't get kicked out of garage sale land. And they get that way, but that busybodiness is actually what makes them such vocal places for referral.
One of the things that I found, and before we go on and talk about this with the ad, which we're going to show you in a moment, I just want to point out that it's not just garage sale groups. It's also parenting groups, mom groups, anything around the individual community. It might be schools, groups of people that attend that school. These all work the same way, okay? So let's show them what an ad looks like.
All right, that means that I should, flip forward.
Now, this was a mom group in Naperville where this job was posted. Hello, lovely ladies of Naperville. I have a question and I thank you in advance. Now, I will point out to you something that you don't see in this particular ad was the fact that I didn't say, admin, if this is not allowed, please delete. You want to give the admin always that opportunity to do so, and I didn't in this particular one. But the reason we captured this one was because it was where the placement came from. So this was the actual ad, and we list out all the different things that we're looking for. We're selling the opportunity, and we're asking if it sounds like anyone that they know. What happened at this point, I wish I could tell you that I was, thrilled with Jason's, I told you so on it, because he was totally right. I hesitated, didn't want to do it. Once I posted it, like, these moms are tagging their kids, their brother-in-laws, their parents. Like, I had more candidates than I knew what to do with from a couple of these posts.
Right, like by tagging somebody, they're basically giving us their first and last name and a link to their Facebook profile, and saying, like, hey, they want that person to look at this ad, and what they're doing for us is saying, here's a person for the job. Here's a potential person for you. And so this quickly filled up, and we got a lot of results from it. And it was a pretty darn good example for us of how easily that can work because of busybodies.
I love those busybodies. Let's leverage them. Use those busybodies to make extra money in your placements.
Now, we did tease you a little bit about group etiquette, so let's talk about that.
If you are in a skills-only group, what you need to do is go in. I want you to think for just a moment. When you post something on Facebook and a whole bunch of people like it or comment on it, that makes you feel good, right? That gives you warm and fuzzies, like, oh, people like me. That's great.
If you post something on Facebook and somebody likes it and you don't recognize the name, I bet you go and look at their profile, because nearly everybody does.
So what you want to do when you join specifically a skills-only group, you don't have to do this in a jobs group and you don't have to do this in a local group, though it can help you in like a garage sale or mom group. What you want to do is spend about 15 minutes a day. You want to go into those groups, especially the ones that are closed, and I want you to extremely liberally like everything, because you want to start getting your name known in that group. If you have something valuable to add, add it. If you are in a skills-only group and it is specifically in your discipline, which hopefully you wouldn't have joined the group otherwise, but if you're in that group and you can go in and say, I'd like to share with you guys something I learned. I think there's a misconception when you're interviewing for a warehouse job. I had a candidate that went out, interviewed for a warehouse job, and here's the mistakes that they made. So as a public service to all of you, if any of you are interviewing, don't make that mistake. So what you're doing there is not posting a job and not trying to get people to engage with you. I mean, you are trying to get them to engage with you, but you're doing so in a way that is going to make them go, huh, who is Tracy? I'm going to click through and look at her profile. Maybe if I want a warehousing job, I need to talk to Tracy.
Well, and that, repeatedly showing up in the periphery of their lifestyle is natural. It's organic. It's, I will sometimes refer to that as Jane Goodall kind of creeping up on the apes until they accepted her as one of them, right? Like that kind of a process is what you're doing a little bit here. Now, I do want to answer, Tricia mentioned to Tracy. Tracy had a comment in here. I'm working on a controller position in East St. Louis and having a very hard time finding candidates on LinkedIn and Indeed. Is Facebook a good source? Well, yes, because there's a cross-section of everybody from day laborers to CEOs on Facebook. Somebody like, certain kinds of roles. Now, controller is typically on something like LinkedIn, but just statistically by the numbers, there's probably 4 times as many of them on Facebook.
The problem is that, sorry about that, Tracy. Tracy is a boy, not a girl. All right, so Tracy.
I totally blame Tricia.
Tracy, one of the things that I would tell you, you just have to be creative when you're looking to see if you can find job groups in St. Louis, see if you can find any groups that are going to have people in the financial industry, right? If you're not getting far on LinkedIn.
Well, you got CPA groups. That's an example of a skill group. And you'd need a little more training to be able to do things like CPA groups that are in a specific location. And I think East St. Louis is actually Illinois.
Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, so Kim had a question as well. If I like things, does all that activity show up in our personal Facebook feeds? Only if you're in a public group. If you're in a public group, it's absolutely going to show up and be visible. If you're in a closed group, it's not. So if you click the join button and you're just automatically in the group, that's a public group. If you click the join button and it says, answer these questions, or a moderator will approve your participation, then that's a closed group and no one will be able to see anything.
Right. Now, I do think it's important. My page is only partially closed off. I like the people that I'm sourcing, whether that's for permanent role, staffing role, whatever. I want them to be able to find me because I know there's a good chance that they're going to look me up. And I want them to get a little sense of my personality and the things that I like and, the groups and the pages and all that. If it's not secret, then I want there to be that injection of personality. I want them to think of me more as a person and less as, a job opportunity for them. Because the more they view me as a friend, the more likely they are to, work with me.
Right. Now, originally, what we were going to do is go live right now, but I think I'm going to wait and let's do all of our live searching at the end of the stuff that we're teaching you because I don't want to run out of time with some good content. So we're going to just skip going live right now and we're going to jump right into paid advertising. So let me pose the question again to you guys. Come into the question and answer area of GoToWebinar and tell me, have you ever paid to post a job on Facebook? Just a yes or a no would be great.
I have 2 yeses so far. More yeses are coming in, but by and large, most of you are saying no.
Yeah, the vast majority of you. Some of you have done some boosting, which is okay, but your boosted posts are only going to be boosted to the people that like your page. Isn't that right?
I don't know. I think it might go to friends of friends and stuff like that.
Right.
Too.
So but it's a very close knit. Like boosting isn't going to do as much for you. It looks like a lot of you have done that, but the vast majority of you have not done any paid advertising. So let's talk through it. We'll give you some tips on how to approach it.
Well, I'll say that everything that you ever do is split into 3 easy steps. Right, so we're going to give you 3 easy steps here. Step 1, pick the right numbers. Step 2, buy a lotto ticket. Step 3, cash in to become a millionaire.
Now, I don't think Facebook ads are nearly as difficult as winning the lottery, but I get your point, right? Because 1, 2, 3 steps to effective ads is extremely deceiving. I am a recruiter, not a Facebook marketer, which means when we started doing this, I messed it up over and over and over. I cannot tell you how many mistakes I made with this. So there are actually 3 things that you have to pay attention to. 1, you guys know when you're scrolling through your own Facebook feed, it's the image or the video that catches your eye. So you have to have a good image, and that's where people like David's team come into play. They're the marketing experts, right? We're the staffing and recruiting experts. We don't necessarily know what images are going to appeal to our candidates, but I think that a lot of marketing companies do.
Right. We will say, and this is one of my pet peeves, if you ever use an image and you put a little triangle on top of it that's supposed to make it look like there's a play button there, you're mean, and it's a false play button. I know that Facebook has tried to crack down on stuff like that because it gets people to click it thinking there's a video that's going to play, and really they're being taken away for an ad to someone's landing page somewhere, and it can be kind of frustrating.
So let's say that you have this amazing exclusive contract with Amazon or with eBay, or a company that certainly has a good reputation. You don't put that information out there. You can use your own logo, but I wouldn't do that unless you're just going to embed it into the picture. Even if you have an exclusive with a client, please don't reference them in any type of ad that you put on Facebook. There's, from my non-legal opinion, you can get in a lot of trouble for that, right? So stay away from it.
All right, so we won't go too much more into image selection. We'll just move into writing copy. Now, when it comes to talking about a job, I think of job description copy and ad copy as different things. So I want you to think about what it would be like if they described for you everything that actually went into the food that you eat from McDonald's versus an advertisement for a Big Mac.
Oh my gosh, if they told me everything that was in the food for a Big Mac, I would never eat at McDonald's again.
Right, oh, they try. Like now it's made with fresh beef.
That's crazy. But I think oftentimes we make this big mistake in search and staffing, that we take a job description and what we do is we think that that's a job advertisement, and it's not. Like, there is nothing compelling and interesting about must be able to lift 50 pounds. Nothing. So we don't want to use a job description when we're posting this. We want to use an advertisement. And we're going to show you an example of this as well, one that actually made a placement. But what's important to really understand, you need to have two different types of copy. The copy that shows up in the actual ad, and then once they click, the copy that shows up on the landing page where they're going to actually apply. So there's two different types of copy there. Think of it kind of like an email. If your subject line isn't good, no one opens your email. So it doesn't matter how good your content is inside the email if you don't have a good subject line. Same goes with a Facebook ad. If the initial ad copy that shows up with the image or video isn't compelling, no one clicks through, and it doesn't matter what it says on your landing page.
All right, now, I know that there's a lot of people who feel like you should never talk about the compensation in an ad, but the numbers show that people, when you talk about compensation and actual benefits, not like the phrase great benefits, that's meaningless, actual benefits. If you talk about these kinds of things, you increase the chance that somebody applies by 75%. It's a pretty huge jump because now you've taken the guesswork out. They know what, and then you don't have somebody that makes $100,000 a year applying for a $12 an hour job.
Which is awful when that happens. So I'm going to ask you guys another question. Come in to the QA area of GoToWebinar and tell me, when you post a job, are you specific about how much money your candidates are going to earn, what that range is, and the exact benefits? Now, these are coming through super fast, so we can't give you an actual statistic, but it looks like it's about 50-50 right now.
And some of you, it's 50% of the time. I've got them sometimes, or
right.
Mostly, or sometimes. So there's a little bit of a range here. And people do like to know the facts about what they're getting.
They do. And so if you can wrap your head around the fact that you would be disclosing what that range is, and benefits you shouldn't be upset about. You should be able to say what the benefits are no matter what. Whatever they get for benefits, you should be able to post those details. Here's what you have for medical, dental, vision, whatever else is included. You want to actually list those things out, even though you feel like that's just sort of throwaway information. It's extremely important to anybody that's applying to the job.
Well, especially people that are on the younger side. Basically, this comes down to the fact that we live in this new information age and in an information-rich society. If I am buying a car, I can know what the MSRP on it is. I can know how many horsepower, miles per gallon. And if I can't find any of that information, I'm suspicious. If I can't figure out how many calories are in the Snickers bar that's in my hand because it's not posted on there, like there's a rule. Why isn't it posted? This is weird. We are all used to information like this, and younger people even more.
Right, so there's a couple of things. We have got some comments coming through, right? It depends on if compensation, yes. Benefits, depends on if the client discloses that or not. I will tell you, Mary Beth, make sure your clients are disclosing that. You need that information in order to effectively sell the opportunity. So I would absolutely push back on that client that doesn't want to tell you about benefits. Rob had a great comment. This is going to filter out the people who are looking for more money, and it saves you from wasting time, which goes right into Alexis's comment. What if they are their benefits, but they're after a probationary period? Here's what I would ask you. If that is a deal breaker for someone, do you want them to apply? Like, I don't want them to apply if that's a deal breaker.
Yeah, I'm not going to survive that 60 days. I'm so sorry.
Right? So I think give them as much information as you can when you're posting an advertisement.
Well, I wanted to say one more thing, because the question came through that said, basically the question was about, why you can't have both an individual page and a business page. You can have an individual page and a company page, but a company page isn't a Facebook profile. So I want to make sure to clear up that little bit of confusion before we go farther. You probably should have a company page. That's become another kind of standard. It's like finding a company without a website. Again, you're instantly a little suspicious.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to ask you guys another question. So come into QA. Sorry, David, for inundating you with all of these, but I want you to tell me, are you willing to talk to a candidate that is not active in the job market that could be interested in your opportunity? Look at that. I have all yeses, absolutely, always, absolutely. I mean, like, I can't even read them fast enough, but it's all yeses and absolutely.
So far, I have found 0 people that are saying no.
All right, now here's a thought that I really want you guys to consider. And if you take nothing away from what we're discussing today, I hope that you'll internalize this concept, because we've tested the heck out of this. Every single job posting that you put out there, whether it is on Facebook or anywhere else, you need to add the statement, I don't need a copy of your resume in order to have a discussion with you. If you would like to reach out to me and tell me why you're interested in this role, I'd be happy to look at your information. That one statement in a job posting makes all the difference in the world for the number of people that apply to jobs. I mean, you guys all know, I'm sure, how important it is that your jobs are mobile, that they can be seen from a mobile device, because so many people are looking for jobs on their phones or tablets, and they don't have a resume saved on their phone.
Well, it's interesting because about a year ago, Indeed put out on the Indeed blog, basically this concept that 78% of people who have, searched for a job online have searched for a job online using a mobile device. Now, I've searched, but now I can't really do anything about it because I've got to get home, get to my desktop, find my resume, get into my email and send it to you in order to apply, or I've got to do a much more difficult process. Or you can use the technique that we're about to show.
So here's what we do. We're going to show this to you quickly so that, first we have to tell them how to build the page, right?
Step 3.
Step 3, I'm skipping it.
You have to win the lottery. Step 3. So when you build that page, unless you are great at writing web pages, which I know a lot of us aren't, you're going to need a software provider somewhere, someone that is your vendor to do that for you. And you're going to give a job advertisement, not a job description, and a place for them to enter contact information. Because all you really need at this stage is their contact information and a sign that they're interested.
That's it, because you all said yes, absolutely, positively. With a passive candidate, you will talk to them without a resume. So stop forcing people to give you resumes. Get the information that you can get from them immediately and start the process. So here's an example of what a page looks like. This is the top of the page. The next slide you're going to see, or the next page in your workbook, will be the second half of the same page. So we put all of the stuff for the person to apply on the top.
Now you'll notice that what you really need here is name and email. That's literally all that is, has the asterisk by it for them to be a part of this. They don't need to give you the phone number. The message is also optional. Like if they leave those blank, you're still going to get the person. And then we use something, fairly gentle here, like consider me. Apply now is so boring and cliched. So we've got just a little bit here. It's not really an application at this point. It's just a button to get their name in the mix.
Now, the bottom half of that same page is what you're going to see here. And I want you to feel comfortable. Look at that last paragraph. If you want to lift that last paragraph 100% off of this page, I give you express permission to do so. We'd love to see your resume, but we'll get to that later. If you haven't quite made that leap into actively looking for a job or updated your resume, we won't hold it against you. Fill out the form to give us your name and contact information and tell us a little bit about yourself and why it's appealing. Use that. Don't write this like must be able to lift 50 pounds. Please don't, because you're not going to get good responses, and this is a little bit more expensive approach to getting candidates.
Question here from Oded, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Working in the very competitive space of travel nursing, I mentioned that I've done that. That is difficult. Do you find that it would be more advantageous to pay ads for specific travel jobs or an ad on the value of our travel nurse company to potential nurse consumers? Frankly, what I had the most success with is actually our step 4 overall, which is direct sourcing through Facebook. I found the names of people and I reached out to them directly.
That is the best way to do it for travel nurses. Okay, so you guys have this job description that you can go through. It really is an advertisement, not a job description. And again, you have our express permission to list that last paragraph and use it as your own.
Yes, Larry, I'm very aware. This is the actual copy as it was posted at the time. He found that in the second line of the final paragraph, there is a typo. That is the real typo that was there.
Which, thanks, Larry. I appreciate you calling it out. This is legitimate, and we left it in there so that you guys could see this, because this was the ad that the placement came from. So spelling error and all.
Spelling error and all, which generally we recommend not having it. I will say, when you have a spelling error, sometimes people will comment specifically to correct you, which means they've looked at your ad and had read through it enough that they felt the need to correct you, because that's what humans are like.
Yes, it is. All right, so direct sourcing is that last area. And I told you we can't teach it to you in 10 minutes. So, boy, my timing was right on that. But what we can do is give you one very cool technique that's super easy to learn when it comes to direct sourcing. And that is finding people based on what they like. The first one here. Now, we can do all of these different types of searches through direct sourcing, what their skills are, who they work for, their education, where they live, all of that stuff. But likes are awesome when it comes to associations.
All right, so searching by associations is that one very easy technique we will take you through right now. When you search by associations, I have an assumption. If my association is the association of taxation, or it's the association of forklift drivers, or it's an association of administrative assistants or travel nurses or whatever it is, there's only two reasons to join the Association of Travel Nurses or to like their page on Facebook. One, you recruit travel nurses, or the much more common, you are a travel nurse, right? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Like, you don't find a lot of CPAs that have liked the travel nurse page.
You don't. So we make the assumption if they've liked a particular association that they're probably in that association or somehow affiliated with it. So there's a technique that we do that is to find these associations. So what you're going to do, you're going to start from Google. I cannot stress this enough. Start from Google. From that point, you search for whatever association that you want. It doesn't have to be the exact association. You might go in and say, manufacturing associations or administrative assistant associations. It can just be at a high level. It doesn't have to be the actual name. Pick whichever associations you want that show up and open them in Google. Then what you're going to do is find the Facebook icon on that page and click it.
Now, we also often open that in a new tab, and we'll do that during class today just so you see it opening in a new tab. And then you're going to see the association that they have advertised that they want you to like and follow them on Facebook. And we are going to click the search button on the association page. We're already there, but now we're going to search for it twice. So we click the search button twice, and that's going to get you to the listing for it that has the number of people who like the association, and then we just click that number.
Let's jump out and just do that one live so that you guys can see how it works.
Well, and you'll have all this, right? Like, you can go to Lunch with Haley, you can get all this again. Seeing it live is probably going to show it to you a little bit better than these 8 bullets. So
it does.
We're hopping out live now.
Now, one of the things that I will tell you is Facebook is a little bit like a toddler. So what will happen, like if we go out, let's just type manufacturing associations. Facebook is a little bit like a toddler. Like, I was running association searches yesterday, and one of my associations, it didn't matter what I did, it only pulled me up 4 people that liked it. But if I went to Jason's computer, I could pull all of them up, which was nutty. So there's some glitches that'll show up, and hopefully that doesn't happen to us right now.
All right, typically where the Facebook thing is going to be top of the page or somewhere at the bottom of the page. In this case, you see them all kind of in gray here at the top. We've got Twitter, LinkedIn, and right here in the middle, we've got Facebook. So I'm going to click on this one. I've already opened this page in a new tab. So I'm at Facebook. I'm in their association.
You have to be logged into Facebook to do this. If you click the button, the Facebook icon, through Google on the association's page and you're not logged into Facebook, it can't open. But I want to draw your attention on the right side under community where it says 72,000 people like this. Like, we can't click that. We can't get to those people. But we're going to show you right now how you can get to those people.
All right, it's so easy. We're going to click this little this looking glass up the top here twice. Once, twice.
Not a double click. It's not a double click. It's once, a slight pause, and then twice. So you're actually searching for the page that you're already on, which seems a little nutty.
Now, if you remember that number I couldn't click on was like 72,558, something like that. Now, here where it says 72K like this, I'm going to click that number here. And it's going to start loading for me the 72,000 people who like this group.
Isn't that crazy? So when you find a page that says, even if it says 100 people like this page, and it is, I don't know, maybe a direct competitor to you in the staffing industry, right? And you want to see who their people are that like their page, this is how you do it.
Now, from here, we aren't going to go into this because it gets more complicated, but there are search techniques that you can do which will narrow this down. I can find people who like the National Association of Manufacturers that just live in Plano, Texas. And I can narrow it down with a little URL manipulation as we go. Why don't we do another one of these associations? What was the one you said it didn't work?
I ran it, like if you go back to Google and we say Administrative Assistant Association, this was the craziest thing. And now that I've said it doesn't work, it's going to work. But
everything works when I'm touching the computer.
So Administrative Assistant Association. Now, I pulled this one up, the first one, American Society of Administrative Professionals.
Okay.
Went to their page. And then from there, I look for their Facebook icon, which I think is all the way at the bottom. There it is, bottom left. We click Facebook. It loads. I can see that there are 5,500 people that like this.
Ooh, get rid of that so you can see it. 5,584. I will click once. I'll click twice. And here's my 5.5K like it ASAP. So let's see if we can get there ASAP. And it's a little slow and it's thinking.
And there's my 4 people.
Now, I can tell you that on a different computer, this literally loaded more. And you'll notice one other thing. It doesn't say end of results. Now, if you find a small association, maybe there's 12 people that actually like the page, and you get through 12 and it says end of results, that's not the computer. That's not Facebook having a toddler moment. This is a toddler moment. This is maybe they decided that our upload speed wasn't high enough to keep loading more people, but we have no end of results.
Yeah, so that's just a glitch, and you may find that it happens to you, or you might run this exact same search and it works perfectly for you. Now, let me just do a quick time check. David, can I run 5 minutes over or no? Because I have questions coming through that I'd love to answer.
Guys, I'd be disappointed if you didn't run over to answer the questions.
Oh my God, that's great. Okay, good. So a question came through from Stephanie. What order are these people listed? Most active, order they joined? And Stephanie, that is just a brilliant question because it's so weird. If you run this same search that we just did from the National Association of Manufacturers, your order of people is going to be totally different than mine. You'll notice on the first result, I have 29 mutual friends with that person, Michael.
That's why he's right at the top.
That's why he's at the top. So what Facebook will do is sort all of your results for you based on anything that you might have in common with the person. First, it'll start with friends. Then it'll be if you're in the same location, or you went to the same college, or you have multiple similar friends of friends. So it's completely unique for every person for how many what the order is going to be of the results.
Now, we'll all be able to see 72,000 just in a different order. I consider it the cocktail party rule, right? So if you're looking for somebody who are, part of this association, then maybe you must have met somebody, cocktail party. Let me go first with people you might have as mutual friends, people who live near you, people who went to the same college you went to, people who like the same Star Wars fan page. Whatever it is, they're going to try to find the connections between you first and prioritize those people.
Now, Melissa asked a great question. So what do you do with all these people that like this page? Do you add them as a friend or what? Here's what I'll tell you. I don't add them as friends. I would not recommend sending a friend request. What I do initially is first open their page and start looking at who they are and what they like to try and get a sense of whether or not they could possibly be a viable candidate.
All right, so one of the things I've done here is I've scrolled down on the page because I don't want somebody with 15 mutual friends because that's basically cheating. Like it's too easy to contact a friend of a friend. So I'm going to grab somebody that's not, and I'm going to open those up, and here's Tom. Now, we know so far very little about Tom, but I can go to his About page and see if I can learn a little bit more. Sometimes I can get work in education, and they'll tell me that. I can go to his likes. He may like his company page and all that, and I can find out more about him. But if I can't find an email address easily on Tom because I don't know where he works or I don't know anything else, I don't have to friend him to send him a message.
So you can send this type of a message. You just click that message button.
Apparently you do have mutual friends.
I have a lot of friends on Facebook. So Kim had asked, is there a way to communicate with this list of people specifically versus individually? No, there's not.
Or yes, there is. Join the group and see if you can, reach out to them and say, hey, you know what, I'm, part of the National, Association of Manufacturers or whatever the group name was, and I would love to be able to post a manufacturing job in your group. Now that is a way of getting permission and going back to more of a job posting to hit 72,000 people at once, which I understand the need for that. Like we helped, we'll just say a very large staffing firm with their ramps for eBay and Amazon.
What was a deco?
No.
Yeah, if you're allowed to say that.
And when we were teaching them how to do stuff like this, it would have been ridiculous of them to try to find, I think it was 3,500 for one company, 5,000 for the other to ramp up for Christmas.
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't reach out to 8,500 people in total individually, even with a full staff.
All right, so Alexis's question is a great one. Again, 2 for 2, Alexis. What happens when the message goes to their spam message area? That doesn't exist anymore. The other inbox went away. So you used to have an inbox and an other inbox, and you don't have that anymore. So what happens when you send a Facebook message like this to a person that you don't know? They get a notification that says, Alexis wants to connect with you. And I'll tell you what, they have a choice whether or not they're going to open it, but they almost always open it. Now you have to say something compelling to them, and here's what's really unusual and goes against the grain of everything when it comes to reaching out to passive candidates. We're always taught, customize your message. Let them know how you found them. Don't give the generic message that makes them feel like they're just on a list of candidates. Customize it. I am going to tell you on Facebook, do not customize it. Do not comment on anything on their Facebook page. You want a very short, concise message that says something to the effect of, hi, Tom. My name is Trisha Tampkin. I understand that you're part of the National Association of Manufacturers. I'm a recruiter, and I would be interested in talking to you about an opportunity. Are you open to a conversation? That's it. It's got to be super short. You need to call out the fact that you're a recruiter and let them know that. You have to be very, very honest. Now, here's the nice thing. If you have a list like this, there's no reason that you can't, have a standard message that you're using and individually reach out to 10 people a day.
I wouldn't go above 10 people a day because then you will be flagged as spam. And I say 10 a day. I know people who have reached out to hundreds a day before being hit as spam. But if you're doing this regularly as the primary method of communication, you will hit a point where you are seen as spam.
Yes. Now another question, couple of questions came through from Michelle. For those looking and do not want it known that they're looking, what's the best way to handle it, particularly those that don't want their current employer to know?
Unless their employer has access to their Facebook, this is a great way to do it.
It is. People keep their Facebook pages private, so there is I don't think there's any issue there with it. All right, let's jump back into class, and I'm just going to make a quick announcement for you guys. Do you ever go to a webinar and you feel like the speakers spend like 20 minutes in the beginning introducing themselves, and then they teach you something for 5 minutes, and then they spend like 40 minutes telling you about their awesome offer that they want to make to you? I find that so frustrating. So we don't do it. You saw the short introduction. We spent the vast majority of this hour talking about actual techniques that you can put into play. And so now we are going to move into that offer stage. We're going to give you an offer that's only available through Haley Marketing. Now, if you have no interest whatsoever in learning how to really do direct sourcing on Facebook, this is the time for you to hang up, leave the call. We have thick skin. We are not going to be offended by it.
We will not chase you down and begrudge that you had other things to do with your day.
We will not. But we're going to spend about 5 minutes right now and just tell you a little bit about an offer that you can thank Haley Marketing for.
Yes, I think that's why it's red and yellow here, because we're loving them.
We are loving them. All right, so we have a program, Facebook sourcing program that we've been teaching since 2013, and it is the best one in the industry.
It was also the first one in the industry.
Yes, it was. And so you can go out and we'll teach you how to write search queries inside of the URL field, which sounds very technical. It's not, because we give you this key that you can use, which is all pre-filled URLs. So this is going to be an on-demand program. You can watch the the class, you can watch it over again. You can go back to it a month later and watch it over again.
You can hire somebody and they can watch it. You can decide a month later that you're sick of them and fire them and hire somebody else so they can watch it.
Right. So you'd have access to this on-demand training program for 1 year. Each month, we do a live QA that you have access to, that you can join, and all of your information is stored in this private academy. You have workbooks, you have your key, you get access to our Facebook group that's only for participants of this program, and the whole thing launches for you August 1st, which is next week.
Right. Now, I like August 1st as a launch because it tells you that it's right around the corner. It's not one of these, 6-month-long iPhone launches where, we expect you to go wait in line somewhere and maybe camp out overnight. We don't work that way.
Right. Because of Haley Marketing, your investment for this program is going to be less than what it costs you to have your lawn cut every week, I swear, unless you have your kids do it and it's free, because we can't give it to you for free. But that's for your whole office. And that's one of the things that's really unusual about this program. Jason and I charge $500 to take our Facebook Fuel class live, which is September 18th, per person. But we're not going to come anywhere close to that for you guys. So the program is going to be $100 per month per office. That's it. All of the people in your office can have access to this training, can come to the live QA sessions, and can be participants in our private Facebook group.
So that's great if you are a solo practitioner, it's your own office, or if you've got 10 people working for you. Doesn't matter to us. It's one office, it's one login. You've got it.
So what you can do, we don't want to spend a lot of time selling because we want to be able to just give you guys good content, right? If you have any interest in that, you're going to go to go.moreessentials.com/Haley. And we're going to send an email out to all of you that will have that link, but you can go take a look at that if you would like. And there'll be another video there for you that'll walk you through the whole program and everything that's included. Jason and I are available to answer any questions that you have about it, whether that is questions now or questions later. Otherwise, I would highly encourage you to go take a look at that page. We have never, in the history of training, given a per office price for anything.
And I do want to go back. I just want to leave that up there for a moment. You can certainly type in questions at any point. I just want you to be able to have this because if you purchase from us in any other method, it will cost you more. And I don't want that to be something that you're sad about later.
I don't either. This is only for people through Haley Marketing because David and his team are awesome and constantly trying to give back to the staffing industry. So thank him for that.
And I will tell you that all the things that we talked about, like, hey, direct sourcing gets much more complicated because you can narrow it down by a lot more factors than just one association they like. You can find out their education. We can find out, enough stuff about them, right? Like we can get there, we can narrow it down by where they live and what they like and make it so that you're only having to reach out to people that are good fits.
Like I think we recently just had a student with travel nurses where in Red Hat, what province is that in?
I don't even remember. I certainly can remember the Red Hat because what a weird name that was.
I thought she was making it up, but travel nurses in Red Hat. And we were able to help her to build search strings for that she ended up coming up with more than 70 travel nurses in Red Hat, Canada, where no one's ever heard of that.
If you can answer this question, what is the comparison to the Facebook deep dive I read about last week?
That's a great question, Skip.
All right, so we'll tell you there is a one-time offer for the deep dive that is less expensive through Haley as well. The deep dive is all about finding out everything about a person, often things that they thought you couldn't learn about them online.
So rather than finding a whole bunch of people on Facebook, a deep dive is finding a whole bunch of information, but only about one person at a time. So that program is $1,000. I mean, $9.99, but whatever, $1,000. And anybody that comes into this program through Haley will have an opportunity to buy that deep dive at 50% off.
Right. Another question from Roger, is this training just for direct sourcing using Facebook? No, it's actually for 3 different things. We'll talk a little bit more then about ads, a little bit more about the organic sourcing and growth that way. Basically, of those 4 things we talked about early on, we don't cover content marketing.
Right. But we also go into more etiquette, messaging samples, how to lock down your own privacy, and wow, Valma, that's a great question. Does this training qualify for ASACE credit? No, but I'm going to look into that for you because they're pretty good about, getting us authorized for that. So I will see.
Hey, Tricia. All of our webinars actually do qualify for ASACE credit. So you get active learning credit if you're listening live, and you get passive credit if you're listening to any of our recorded webinars.
Great. I misinterpreted the question as the full program that we're offering as a follow-up to this, and that does not, as it stands, qualify for ASA credit.
I feel like they've made the offer to us in the past for other classes, so we just need to reach out and make sure we get that set up.
So if that's important to you, just let me know and I can probably make it happen. All right, let's just give this back to David to close up. Anybody that needs to reach out to us directly, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, David, it's all yours.
Well, guys, thank you so very much. I don't know about everybody else who's still on the line, but I'm exhausted. That was so much stuff, and I only got to see a fraction of what you did today when we were together at the NPA conference. So thank you both very much for the amazing information, and also thank you very much for extending that really incredible offer to people who want to learn how to use Facebook at an entirely different level than they're used to using Facebook to help fill all of those open job orders. And just to wrap things up for today, thank you very much to everyone for joining us for today's Lunch with Haley webinar. I hope you took home lots of ideas. The slides are up now on the lunchwithhaley.com website. The recording, as soon as I hit the stop recording button, will be converted, and then we'll get that loaded on the site as well. May not be up today, but it will be up by the beginning of next week, so you can rewatch this at your leisure. Also, if you are interested in more marketing ideas, coming up in just a few weeks, we're doing one of my favorite annual events, which is our show and tell session. So we have our project managers, maybe even a couple of designers on the line, get on and share some of their favorite projects, some of the ones we submitted for ASA Genius Awards. So they'll show you what we did, tell you why we did it, and hopefully spark a few ideas to help you with your own marketing. From all of us here at Haley Marketing Group, another big thank you to Tricia and Jason from More Essentials, and we hope to see all of you again soon on our next Lunch with Haley event.
Thanks, David.